As for what Engelbert is alleged to have said to Collier, if she actually suggested Caitlin Clark should be grateful for what she makes off the court, that's preposterous. Did you miss the Iowa years? Clark is the Tiger Woods tide that lifts all boats. And we know this show is proof. The highest rating we have ever had followed one of her games at Iowa. The WNBA has benefited from her presence more than the other way around, even though this year for Caitlin Clark was essentially lost to injury.
The players were in a state.
It was absolutely unbelievable. It's not every day you're watching the WNBA, or at least I'm watching it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I have genuinely never seen anything like this. But listen, you need to get this picture in your head for a second. Think about a league commissioner who is so completely lost in her own power that she believes she is totally invincible. Now picture a fan base that is so fed up and so furious that after being ignored for years, they all just decide to detonate at the same time. And right in the middle of this whole mess are three players: Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hall, all standing together. They're a solid unit, while the very league they helped elevate starts to crumble all around them. This isn't some made-up story or a hypothetical scenario. It is happening in real time. As we speak, the WNBA is facing what might be the single biggest scandal of its entire existence. And the reason for this is that a mind-blowing 2,000 fans have now officially, and I mean verifiably, promised to boycott the league entirely. That number is climbing so quickly and so aggressively that the commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, was reportedly seen rushing out of the league office in an absolute state of panic. The phones are blowing up. You know who it is. It's the sponsors, and they are beyond angry. At the NBA headquarters, Adam Silver is said to be absolutely livid. The WNBA is just moments away from losing everything it has ever built. So get comfortable, because you're about to hear the story that the league tried with all its might to bury forever. If you're seeing this video, you are watching the WNBA's history collapse live. Do what you need to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment that says Boycott 2026 if you're standing with Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi. This entire inferno started the very moment the players' confidential group chat got leaked to the public. Inside that chat, Cathy had supposedly told Caitlin Clark to cease all participation in any outside activities, and she specifically mentioned her passion for golf. Trust me, it did not stop there. She then refocused on Sophie and Lexi, giving them the exact same terrifying warnings, making threats about suspensions, threatening to bench them, and even throwing around the horrifying possibility of termination. It was an absolute declaration of war.
Then the high tide lifts all boats or whatever, basically. Like, if you buy into this, everybody is going to eat. Yet you had people fighting tooth and nail the entire season, not wanting it to be this way because other people weren't getting flowers, or she was getting too much attention, or she gets a special whistle, or I'm gonna check her off the ball here just because. And then her teammate cheers for her for throwing her on the ground. It didn't get better. And it's disappointing to me because it's not every player in the WNBA. And I'm sure that there are many players who are happy to have her in the league. And it's like, if it was my league and somebody was coming in and bringing millions of people, like, I would be excited about that, because you know what? That's a chance for me to impress millions of people who weren't watching before. And there's a lot of women in this league who don't have that kind of envy and jealousy and this kind of like secret club mentality that they only want certain people to be a part.
The players were in a state of utter shock. You could almost feel the disbelief coming through the screen in the leaked chat when Caitlin wrote, "We can't even play golf. We can't have lives outside of this." That single text went viral across the entire league. And in that one instant, for the first time ever, Caitlin Clark, who is without a doubt the most famous player the WNBA has ever seen, felt totally and completely trapped. But Sophie and Lexi were not about to let her go through it by herself. Their reply was instant and firm. "If they suspend you, we walk with you." And in that moment, they transformed into three sisters, three teammates, and three phenomenal athletes that the fans completely idolize. So what was Cathy's response? She picked this moment, the absolute worst time imaginable, to start a fight she was never going to win. The instant that this threat became public knowledge, The fans lost their minds. A single post from a fan account drew the lines in the sand, racking up 1.2 million views within just a couple of hours. It said, "Suspend Caitlyn, and we suspend the WNBA." Reddit wasn't just active. It turned into a command center. Instagram became a wall of protest art. TikTok was a never-ending feed of enraged videos. The fans had moved past anger. They were just done. This was the point of no return. They started recalling all the years of terrible calls, the bogus fouls, and the deliberate hard hits that never got punished. They recalled Caitlyn being put on the bench, supposedly for her own safety. And now this, threats over playing a round of golf, warnings sent to players just for being people. That was the end of it. The red button was pushed. 200,000 fans put their names on an official, verified pledge to boycott the entire 2026 season. This number was expanding by the second. People weren't just signing up solo. Entire families joined the boycott. Children who idolized these women joined the boycott. Whole groups of friends who attend games together joined the boycott. This was not a fleeting rage. It was generational. And it only took a few hours for the sponsors to see what was happening. They didn't waste any time. They didn't schedule a meeting for next week. They picked up the phone and called Cathy. One sponsor representative was quoted, and you need to hear this word for word. "If you lose Caitlyn, you lose us. This is no longer a league problem. This is a Cathy problem." And just like that, the league's headquarters was drowning in a tidal wave of emails. What began as a few dozen emails quickly turned into more, and then into hundreds. We're talking about massive corporations yanking their advertising dollars. Others put an indefinite freeze on their sponsorship deals. Some even threatened to sever ties with the league for good. The leadership at the WNBA finally grasped that this was not just some other scandal. It wasn't a controversy that would blow over. No, this was a massive financial cardiac arrest, and Cathy's actions were the direct cause, actively destroying the league. The second the boycott count officially blew past 200,000, Adam Silver lost it. He allegedly stormed into the WNBA office, threw a huge binder onto the conference table, and stated in a tone that was not up for negotiation, "Fix this, or step down." The whole room was instantly silent. Cathy was frozen. Her face supposedly went completely pale. He stared her down and started demanding answers. "Why are you menacing players for having a life? Why is Caitlyn your target? Why are you sending warnings to her teammates?" All she could do was stammer out some excuses, but he had no interest in hearing them. He made it crystal clear to her, "You are not preventing anyone from playing golf. You are not suspending anybody, and you are not terminating anyone's contract." And then, here's where the situation gets absolutely wild. The assistant commissioner apparently leaned over and whispered something to Silver. He listened, stood up, and just shook his head with what can only be described as total disgust before walking straight out of the building. No more meetings scheduled, no more discussion, just an epic level of frustration. At the same time, over at the Indiana Fever's facility, the players' phones were lighting up non-stop. 200,000 boycotts became 220,000, then 35,000, and then 250,000 people. Caitlyn could only look at her screen, completely stunned. Sophie took her hand. Lexi put her arms around both of them, and in that moment, Caitlyn whispered, "They are doing all of this for us." Sophie gave her hand a squeeze and said, "Then we stay strong." Lexi finished, "Together." During that exact same time, the WNBA headquarters was in a state of absolute catastrophic meltdown. Staff members were reportedly in tears at their desks. The phones wouldn't stop ringing. Email servers were crashing. Every single major sponsor had put a hold on their payments. The executives were hiding out in their offices, terrified to be seen. And Cathy, she was just sitting there shaking, completely paralyzed. She had no strategy, no support from her own people, and zero backup. She was finally being forced to confront a reality you can't run from. You can't declare war on your own fan base. You can't go after your own superstars. And you certainly can't control a group of people who have discovered their power together. By the close of that disastrous day, the estimated number of people boycotting, once you included the families of those who signed, was well over 1 million. Cathy's chair was unoccupied. Her office was locked. She wasn't talking to anyone. In just one day, the league had lost it all. the sponsors, its credibility, the fans, the money, and any sense of stability. It's that kind of chaos that would stop players from agreeing to a contract extension, that would prevent them from ironing out a deal to avoid a lockout. Because sure, they can still negotiate during a lockout, but the players lose access to the facilities, they can't get treatment from team doctors, and they can't train with the coaching staff. So there are real consequences. And in the middle of this, the WNBA is offering the players a 30-day extension on the CBA deadline to keep talking. This is the backdrop for everything, including the intense rivalries, like the one with Angel Reese, who just had to sit out with a wrist injury, while Caitlin keeps playing. That rivalry goes all the way back to college, with all the trash talk, but now on social media, it's taking a much darker, more dangerous turn, where topics like race and sexuality are being thrown into the mix. How does a league possibly get ahead of that, or control it when two of its biggest stars' fan bases are at war? It can't. The league has lost all control. And it's all because one person in a position of power decided to threaten Caitlin, Sophie and Lexi, the very players she should have been protecting at all costs. The WNBA didn't just lose a PR battle today, it lost something much more fundamental, something that is nearly impossible to ever win back. It lost trust, and in the sports world, or in any world, trust is everything. If you think the fans were 100% right to do what they did, you need to comment Boycott 2026 right now. And if you support the courage shown by Caitlin, Sophie and Lexi, hit that like button and subscribe, because I can guarantee you, this scandal is a long, long way from being over.